Suzanne, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's been really cool for me to get to read and listen to podcasters and authors and educators such as yourself as I've asked the question, what are you chasing at the end of the school year and what are you chasing as we get into the next school year? So, Suzanne Dailey, how are you? Tell us a little bit about yourself before we get into the conversation.
I'm good, Will. Thanks so much for inviting me to connect with your audience. I'm really happy to be here. I'm in the final stretch. It's our last week with students this week, so you're catching me at a very tender time. This is my 23rd year teaching, and I currently am an instructional coach for the Central Bucks School District, which is about an hour outside of Philadelphia. So I get to teach model lessons, work with new teachers, deliver workshops for about 500 elementary teachers in 15 elementary buildings. So that works out to be interacting with over 7,000 kids a year, which is really exciting. So we are tired. We are sprinting and limping towards that finish line, but we're almost there for a well-deserved summer.
That's great. When you got into that role, did you think that putting all those miles around and things like that on the car would be like it is? Are you in love with the seeing 7,000 kids every year?
I'm in love with it, Bill, because I get to teach every single day and stay boots on the ground and stay connected to the work and it's such a great challenge. I might be in a kindergarten classroom, then I get in the car and then I teach fourth grade, then I get in the car and teach sixth grade. So it's a real wonderful, like cognitive and emotional challenge. I love it.
That sounds really cool. That sounds
Yeah,
really cool. Yeah.
it's wild.
Uh,
Some days are wild.
so thank you so much. So that's what drew me to you too, is you're excited about talking about it. And it's clear to me. And I started thinking it's not just an excitement. Like you've built a body of work that's built around the idea of joy. And what drew me specifically, and when you and I kind of been introducing with each other, is that joy isn't an accident in what we do. So can you talk about that? Joy being an essential part of an educator's toolkit, but it's not a perk. It's not a bonus.
I love that we're talking about chasing joy because I often say you can't catch what you don't chase. So even when people say, "Oh, chasing it, it's crazy." Well, what are you chasing? What are you going after, right? And when we say joy, I really want to be upfront that that doesn't mean toxic positivity. It doesn't mean find these good vibes only, tra la la. What I mean by that is, are we content? Are we aligned? Are we as steady as we realistically can be in this really unsteady world? So when we chase joy, it doesn't mean ignoring any of the real stuff. It means, all right, let's look at the real picture. Where's our agency? What are those really small, deliberate practices that I can do as a fully formed grown up that's going to move the dial a little bit? And the good news is that there are so many smart people out there. There's positive psychologists. You talk about these guys all the time. Social scientists,
Mm.
fMRI scans with neurobiology that are proving what does move the needle a little bit. And so, if we want to serve our students well, we have to grow our bandwidth and capacity. That's an inside job. We have to be a part of our own rescue. And to do that, we need to learn what we can do, figure out what works for us as busy educators, parents, partners, friends, all those roles that we play to see what could be a realistic implementation to catch that joy. We're going to chase it, we're going to catch it, and we have to figure out how to do it in a kind of a disciplined way. People don't like when I say that happiness is a
Yeah.
discipline, but Will, you want to be a better runner? You run more.
You run
We
more.
tell our students, you want to be a better reader? You read
You
more.
read more. You read different things. You stretch. Yeah.
Right. So if you want to feel happier, more joyful, content, aligned, grounded, well, we have to treat it as a discipline and honor those practices each and every day.
It absolutely makes sense. And the idea of toxic positivity, it's more than just, in some places it can actually be toxic and actually be damaging. But moreover, I think it's just not real to who we are. Like you said, we are professional, mature people who have bad days. You know, if you work with 7,000 people every day, let's just use that as a rough number. Now I know they're bitty people that are awesome, but like not everybody's having a good day.
And sometimes I'm not having a good day.
Maybe you're the one, right? So it is that idea. We fall back though on the things that we have practiced. We fall back on the things that we have made comfortable and made part of our lives. And I just love that, how that's a part of your work.
Thank you. And I get pretty jazzed, Will, when we are constantly referred to as superheroes. We are not superheroes. We are human beings. When we are feeling pretty good, we can serve the students in front of us beautifully. But there are days where we're walking in with a lot of our own stuff from our personal life, but yet the expectation is you check it at the door and you become fully present for students. Sometimes we can do that and sometimes we can't. So, what do we do? How do we figure out what our next right thing is on the days we have the capacity to check it at the door, but then those days that we don't?
Yeah. What do we do? I love it.
Yeah.
So your idea of the 2-degree shift really kind of spoke to me and resonated, I think, with a lot of educators. When you think about that concept today, what
Mhm.
new meaning or layers has it taken on from you through your conversations and through your work since you first kind of popped that idea?
Well, at first, I can't take credit for the 2-degree shift. That is not a Suzanne Dailey original. I actually can't find who that's attributed to in all of my research. But the
Uh,
idea of it, yeah. So please,
I like that.
let's not
A
get
little
sued
a
tonight,
little
Will.
mystery in tonight's episode too for any true crime fans out there.
Now it's a true crime
No
podcast.
criminal activity. Yeah.
But it's so fascinating to me that this whole 2-degree phenomenon, right? There's nobody who's listening to this podcast who has the capacity for a 180, nothing. It is not we are going to be who we are. So the capacity for a 180-degree turnaround is quite unrealistic. But a 2-degree shift, a really slight shift in our thoughts or our language or our actions, that's what can create permanent positive change when we treat it like a discipline. I often say I'm so fortunate I get to go around the country and speak with districts. And I'll say to them, it's imagine a plane that takes off and every 10 minutes adjusts 2 degrees, 2 degrees, 2 degrees. That plane ends up in an entirely different location. So the metaphor there for us is we have a lot of agency of what our happiness, joy, wellness trajectory can be. And again, as we said earlier, that's an inside job. If I can commit in a disciplined way to make these 2-degree shifts, then that will bring me permanent positive change. I can determine the trajectory of my happiness. That to me floods my system with agency and hope. And that helps me understand what I can do as a 45-year-old mom and teacher. And like we said earlier, all those other roles we play.
That's right. And that, that speaks directly into it permeates everything that you write and that I've read, is that the idea of we have our values and we have our habits. What
Mhm.
gets in the way of alignment for some people? And this is, I weirdly kind of thought about this question. Like, this isn't a personal thing, right? We're talking professionally about the things that we do, professional values, professional habits. So I just wanted, for my sake at least, this isn't calling people out on their values or habits necessarily. And you
Mhm.
don't do that in your work at all. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because I think you really take care to bring that to your readers and to your audience.
Thank you. Yeah, we like to say in our little Teach Happier community, how can you have a good day with purpose, on purpose? And the way that you do that is you check yourself and you check your core values. What do you want to be aligned to? But then recognize if it's not a match, it's noise. And the disciplined approach is recognizing when it's noise. I have yet to work with a district that isn't being inundated with lots and lots of outside noise. But when we are able to recognize that and then kind of pivot away from it and focus on the things that align with our values, and oftentimes that means focus on our students, their social emotional needs, their academic needs, we close our classroom door. That's when we feel that our work is aligned with why we got into this profession. And then that's how we can, in fact, have a good day with purpose, on purpose.
With purpose, on purpose. I love it. So many
Thanks.
things, so
No,
many
that
things
isn't
come.
me. That you can give me credit for that.
We'll make sure that you get credit for that one in the show notes. I love it. So teach. I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna get this right. Teach happier.
Yes,
40 weeks
that's right.
is your book and the podcast that goes along with that. Um, what is it other than it being highly entertaining and highly informative? You're awesome. We'll get to the helmet behind you from one of the episodes, the back episodes I listened to there. But so what is it that you hope teachers, educators carry with them after they've read the book, after they've started listening to the podcast? What would that message be?
Well, so the way that the book is organized, here she is. And we just learned that it's been a bestseller not only in 23, 24, but it's on track for 25, which is so exciting.
That's awesome.
So ASCD was so wonderful because this was a bit of a departure of their typical books. And the way that it's organized, I think helps it become meaningful to teachers. It's in a 40-week um, span. So we have 4 10-week marking periods because that's how most of us live our lives. And so those beginning chapters are when we are, oh, we're such good versions of ourselves. We're well rested. We're flooded with optimism. We want to like create all those goals. So the really small chapters, which are supposed to be about 5 minutes ish to read and do a quick response, just to kind of get us in a good headspace and heart space for our upcoming week. But then when like mid October, early November hits and we're all sick, like we all have the colds and everything feels like it's routine and like we honor that in the book as well. And so the book really carries us through those very typical and normalized emotions that we all feel. Those chapters right now, these final weeks, are very different than the ones at the beginning of the year. And the big takeaway is, all right, let's do a little check. How are you right now? Like, really, how are you honoring your professional self and your personal self? Kind of check in and then figure out, all right, what's that small shift in your thoughts, language, or actions that is going to serve you, whether it's as a teacher, whether it's as a mom, whether it's as an uncle, like whatever that role is in your particular season of life that you're in right now, just trying to honor and accept that and do our next right thing.
That's so cool. And it's so many things in our job seem easy because they sound easy, right? Honor who you are, honor where you are, honor your stage, honor your place, honor all of those things and come with it 100%. Because when you don't honor those things and you show up at 80%, nobody's benefiting from that situation there.
That's right. But we also give ourselves to be okay with if we've only got 80% and we bring all 80%, that's actually 100%.
That's
Because,
right.
well, there are days where you just don't have 100%. You don't.
That's right.
And it's easier to come to school than write the subplans. So we come with 80%.
That's right. And it may change on the drop of a hat. Like, one phone call of, we have to arrange this thing to do after school care with child care with our daughter and do this or that. Like things change, right? And it's important, as you said, to though be able to fall back on, well, I do this on purpose with purpose. And these are the lessons that help me, keep bringing that to the front of the mind.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Suzanne, this has been so cool. I'm really glad that I stumbled upon it. Teach Happier this school year. 40 weeks of inspiration. I'm really glad that I started talking with you. So one of the episodes that I did listen to, I went back a couple, I think it was after the AFC NFC championship, and you got the Bills helmet behind there. So I was we're exactly the same age. So I was that middle school, high school when the Bills and Jim Kelly were losing.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's still fresh. This is still,
sorry. Is it
this is
still too
harmful.
soon?
Go on. Go ahead.
I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have Bills fans in my life frequently. I'm not a Bills fan, but just going into the season, what's the joy, right? What do they need to do on purpose, with purpose, away from the field to get it there?
Well, what I love about the Buffalo Bills is not only, I mean, right now we can do this. We got Josh Allen. Jury's still out on James Cook, but we're going to get our people together. But the whole Bills Mafia fan base, I mean, we talk a lot about on the podcast or in the book, scanning for the good and scanning for the glimmers, because you can really train your brain to notice what's good. Oh, the Bills Mafia, the things that they do for the community, for other team fan bases
Right.
is really, really beautiful. And so, yes, I think the podcast episode you listened to was when we heartbreakingly lost that game. And at 3 a.m., our beloved Bills are coming back in terrible weather because, of course, it is. and you just had fans lined up to clap them out of the plane, to hold up signs, to say thank you. And what that allowed us to do as podcast listeners is say, well, who are your 3 a.m. people? Who are your green flags? Who is good to you? Who is good for you? And we know that the research says the number one thing that 100% of happy people have in common are strong social relationships. So we took that as an invitation to nurture those relationships, honor those 3 a.m. people. So I love to take just stories that are happening in the world and try and think what that could mean to us if we're not famous NFL football players.
Which most of us will never get to experience.
That's right.
That's really, really cool. Suzanne, this has been an absolute pleasure talking with you. I can't wait to continue to follow on with the podcast. I found you just on Apple Podcasts or on, is that the easiest place for us for people to reach out?
Yeah, the easiest place could be the website, SuzanneDailey.com. That'll link you to the podcast. It'll link you to the book. It'll link you to any speaking engagements I have coming up. So I'd love to hear from those of you who are listening today.
Really cool. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you have a wonderful summer.
Thank you. You too. Go Bills.
Go Bill. Take care now.
Bye-bye.